KW, für jeden Anspruch das richtige Fahrwerk.
Welcome then to the final round of the championship here in the British RaceRoom Championship's Touring Car Challenge, brought to you by Cobra Motorsport. We have had an enthralling run through the first 6 races of the season, and now to wrap it up, the final 3 here from Silverstone International. Lewis McGlade alongside me as always, Cam Roger and Cam. It has been a brilliant season thus far. It's tight at the top coming into the finale, and this is going to be ace.
Yeah, it's been one of those seasons where it's been really close, and Matt Richards unfortunately having a disconnection in the final in the last round I should say, in Brands Hatch Indy means there's only 4 points separating the top 3 drivers of Hurlock, Matt Richards and Chris Shepherd as we come into the final 3 races, as you say here. But just like before, we got reverse grids to think about, but there are a couple of long straights here where you can overtake, so it's certainly going to be a close one, and we're looking forward to it as there's only 3 races to go.
Yeah, on that list, obviously, you see the 3 points between Hurlock and Richard. You see Chris Shepherd a point back. Unfortunately, he is not here today because he didn't qualify to get into the round. Not that he wasn't fast enough, it's that he completely forgot. Rob Cross is still very much in it as well, only 12 points off the championship lead, so it is still tight at the top. But I definitely think it's between Hurlock, Richards and Cross for the title. We've got, of course, a stacked entry list. We've got 25 cars out there to go around the Silverstone International layout. You can see there the pre-qualifying times of a 107.1 from Jack Keithley. He's obviously been busy today, so he is not here. But Charles Rainford, a new name for us, qualifying in the second position, obviously moves up to the top qualifier, courtesy of Jack Keithley not taking part. Could be an interesting prospect for the season, for the night ahead.
Yeah, and he's currently, I believe, 4th in the practice standings as well. As you see the cars just in the background. So in a minute they'll be going to qualifying, and maybe he will be one to look out for today. Obviously, as we said, quite a new name, but he did get the top qualifying place, so he's certainly someone that we need to look out for as they just start their 10-minute qualifying session.
Yeah, we've got a couple of new drivers in there, of course, like we said, Charles Rainford. We've got Will Tregertha joining us today as well, so that's good to see him. A couple of drivers that aren't here at the moment because we've seen that Dan Rowbottom's had a bit of a technical issue, so he is not able to take part. Josh Webster as well wasn't really, wasn't a fan of the Honda. Said it was too slow, but it did top the practice session coming into this. So we'll see about that. Rob Mason, one of those new names, definitely a big talent when it comes to touring car driving. Does actually some scrutineering for the British Touring Car Championship. I think when they go to Donington, 5 years ago, I think I met Rob Mason. He was doing the scrutineering at the British Touring Car Championship at Donington. So yeah, he's got a bit of experience around touring cars and now gets to take one around this circuit here. Yeah, should be good for him.
Yeah, touring cars obviously something a little bit different. We've got front wheel drive obviously, and I believe there's 7 different manufacturers of cars out there. They've all got slightly different BOPs to try and make it as balanced as possible. And as we saw in the last couple of races, people are going to be sitting right behind each other in this qualifying session, trying to get just the tiniest bit of slipstream to see if they can get any sort of edge, as they don't have too long to get their laps in, especially with this being the longest track on the calendar.
Yeah, correct. It does mean there's a bit more space though to play with when you get out there. You've got a bit of breathing room to settle yourself into. We're all obviously on board there with Dan Camish did impressive stuff last time. Of course, was really like I thought more so than when we came to Silverstone for the Silverstone National. He was very much fighting with the top lot. Got his elbows out on various occasions and got muscled around himself. But all things good. We didn't get any penalties from the previous round, so it's good stuff.
It's always. I think it was in the second race of the season of the series. Sorry, last time in Brands Hatch, it was just unbelievable. There were so many cars fighting, and they also got their elbows out. And I'm sure they're going to do the exact same here today, especially in that sort of the lower parts of the top 10. When you're really fighting to stay inside that reverse grid, then that is really what they're going to be fighting for. And also, there's still some places in the championship to be fought for today.
Yeah, of course. Even the lower end of the points, there's everything to fight for. Of course, we're more focused on that championship lead, but everyone has got their own thing to play for. Dan Camish aiming to get himself into the top 5. If he beats Dan Kell today, he's 5 points off of Dan Kell for the 5th place. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a hard battle between them. We've seen some battling between the two of them over the previous couple of rounds. Here's Matt Richards for Zancho Simsport, of course, one of the main title contenders, just behind Dan Hurlock, like I've said before, over the season, a driver that he's raced with a lot over the last few years, has battled not so much necessarily for championships with Hurlock, but they have battled race to race a lot. If I'm to put money on anyone, I think it more so goes towards Matt Richards. He's won a lot of championships before. Hurlock's not won so many. I don't know if Hurlock's actually won a championship yet. He's finished second a few times. I don't know if he's won one. But Richards, with that experience, might be pretty handy here. Curious to see as well that they're both in different cars. That's what I like to see.
It's always shown that the BOP is pretty good, and at the moment got Rainford and Everett looking at the top, but they're not quite as quick as potentially they could get. As we saw in the pre-qualifier on the little graphic, we saw potentially a 0.2, so 4 tenths quicker than this is potentially possible. But then obviously the BOP comes into play, so you might lose a couple of tenths after that. So maybe there's still some time for these drivers to make up. But yeah, just going back to Richards, I would say he's probably the one to look out for. He would have been leading the championship comfortably had he not had that disconnection last time either. Although Dan Hurlock's got a purple Sector 2 at the moment, so what can he get? He's got a little slipstream to line in second place for him, so that is good.
Good stuff. I think that was it was Mason directly ahead of him. Well, he had Mason and JJ Ross directly ahead of him, so he was picking up a double slipstream there. So that was an impressive time. We've got Charles Rainford here. He was the, like I said, the top qualifier coming into this. So obviously the second in the qualifying when you take Jack Keithley into account. But nevertheless, I've seen some things about this. He's very, very pacey. Sometimes struggles to keep it on the road a little bit. He's not really well experienced in racing in this car. I think it might actually be his first ever race in these. I'm sure we'll do good things though, and currently on that provisional pole, Rob Oldman in his season long. It was last round really. Battle with James Cross. A little bit behind him at the moment. A couple of positions. Got to step it up there. Good sir.
Yeah, he was again one of those drivers that was involved in that crazy battle. A little bit further back on that occasion in Brands Hatch, but these drivers have just been pretty robust with their overtakes and their moves, has to be said. But then you've got to get every centimetre, to be honest, when you're racing these cars. Someone dives down the inside, unfortunately makes some contact there. But that is kind of the thing you'll see in the race. Hopefully not with the consequence of spinning, but that's what you're going to see people do. Just go for every little gap, every car length that they can get.
Yeah, it was one of the VWs. Not sure which one it was. Alex Everett, William Foyle or Mike Smith. It was one of those. Back with Dan Camish, who's in 13th position. Really wants to be at least the top pro here, and he's got a bit of work to do because Will Tregertha come into this, qualified up in 7th position. So doing a very good job himself, going through the final complex and setting a decent time thus far, but I think it might be a touch too far off the pace. We'll see as he comes around to the line. At 13th position at the moment. Again, a reminder, once the timer ticks down to 0, that's the session over. Up to 11th position goes Camish, and that is all. Rob Mason down in 12th, curious as well. Considering he topped the practice session, would have expected a bit more coming around to start one of his final flying laps.
It probably has still a little bit left in the tank, as these times are actually slightly slower, I believe, than the practice session earlier as well. It's still a 12th place for him at the moment. But yeah, maybe there's still some time out there. But now you got all these cars out, and they've also got the pressure now of it being the qualifying session. It is quite important to get yourself towards the front of the field. You're not going to be winning the race if you're starting down in P20.
A bit of traffic as well. That's one of the Audis. Not sure which one it is. We've got a few Audis out there today. I think it might be James Cross. Getting all crossed up in front of Rob Mason there. He's also got another Audi here to pick up a bit of slipstream from. Not ideal. Decent-ish. First sector is a long way off, actually. It's a quarter of a second off. A bit of a note as well on the championship fight. Matt Richards, who's in 9th position. Dan Hurlock, who's in 2nd. That is big stuff for the championship. Whoa! That's not ideal. When it comes to setting a lap time, that's not so great.
Yeah, and he's only got possibly 1, maybe 2 more attempts at a push left in that car as well, assuming he has the fuel out there to do that. But yeah, that's not what you want. You do not want a car right in your braking zone, especially to a fast corner such as that, where you're going to be taking as much speed as possible. And we've got someone else being held up here. Rob Cross being held on their 5th position. He's not going to be improving on this lap.
No, I think that was Oldman directly in front of him. He's going to go straight back out. He does have enough time to get around and do another one, I believe, but it's going to be tight. Here's Owen McGlade, who's doing actually very, very good. He's up in 8th position, one of the new drivers this round. I don't remember where he pre-qualified, but I don't think it was particularly high. So making decent progress on that. JJ Ross moves up into 14th position. We'll see if he improves coming up towards the line. Improves on time, I think, but not position.
Yeah, he was actually 9th in the pre-qualifiers, was Owen. So 8th now, so that is looking pretty good for the pace compared to the drives in this field at the moment. And we are coming to what will pretty much be everyone's last laps. Here's
Will Tregertha, thankfully joining us. Obviously been very busy today. He's already raced early this afternoon in the SRO Esports Championship, I think it was. Has been very busy. Grateful to have him here. We were trying to line him up to join us at some point. Of course, previously taking part in the ADAC GT Masters. Definitely one of the upcoming British talents. Will Tregertha, who's just been boxed down into 8th position. Matt Richards moves up into 4th. Rob Mason moves up into 4th now as well. Tregertha to the line, stays 9th. Big lap time from Richards. Oh, Abraham up to 3rd. Nice work.
All these fast lap times coming in as they just push for the final positions as we come towards the final minutes. They can't be starting a lap now. Only the laps finishing now will be able to count, as we see Karen there in 13th place.
Nice improvement. Goes up a couple of positions. Here's back with Matt Richards. That did not look like an ideal exit, nor does that first sector look particularly good. I think 6th is all she wrote on that one. Dan Hurlock, main contender for the championship for Matt Richards. 3 points separating them. Hurlock has the advantage, not only in the championship standings, but in this session as well. Foil to the line, a race victor back in Brands Hatch in race 2, starting from 18th position then. That's not particularly great. And here's Will Tregertha again. Any improvement? Not so much. See what he does in the final sector.
Yes, final sector is really tricky. You've got this awkward chicane that you're trying to keep as much speed on the exits, keep flat out on that second apex if you can, and then you've got to just hold it to the right for the final kink. And it's actually quite a way to the line. It's down the middle of the straight, and where can he put himself? Couldn't quite.
No improvement. Stays P9. Interesting to note that it's an Audi, then 2 Hyundais, then a VW, then a Honda, and then the Lincoln Coat. So everyone who's been saying the Lincoln Coats are OP this season, well, I mean, does that show it?
It always helps when all of the fast drivers take a certain car, which helps make it look good indeed. But yeah, it's good to see a nice little sort of spread across all of the different chassis that we got here.
Yeah, obviously Jack Keithley there, who has set that 107.1 in the pre-qualifier. We were about 4/10 slower than that. Now, the reason I bring this up is because over the previous 2 qualifying sessions, when we did Silverstone National and then, of course, Brands, the qualifying times were actually very, very close to the pre-qualifier. Like, very close. Curious that today we're 4/10 away. It's not like it's a couple of tenths. We are miles off.
Yeah, not really too sure. I mean, it seems like it was slower for everyone, so maybe, I don't know, the track was a little bit slower. Who knows? But yeah, Dan Hurlock, as you see on the screen, leading by 3 points, and he's leading Matt Richards in the first qualifying session as well.
Yeah,
he's got the first move there.
Yeah, Rob Cross is going to be starting from the 8th position, so not particularly ideal for him, but might have a good run in race 2. Of course, a victor back the last time we came to Silverstone. Hurlock and Cross have a single victory. Matt Richards, though, after taking that double in Silverstone. Now, I know because I know Ed Trevelyan Johnson is watching this as well, and I was also critical of Matt for doing that. I was just like, oh, well, come on, be nice to your teammate. We come here though into the final round. What a crucial move that could prove to be, because not only was it 5 points, being 25 points for the victory and 20 points for second place, but the tiebreaker, should we get to that point, is based on your highest finishing and how often you finish in that highest place. For Matt Richards then to have 2 victories, and for everyone else to only have 1, that could prove absolutely crucial.
Unless Hurlock wins all 3 races today.
Yeah, you think that's going to happen?
Oh, you never know. We have seen double victors before. So, yeah, maybe that is the day for someone to do it here.
That Hyundai, by the way, is going to be an absolute bullet on the back straight, on the run down towards Stowe. So, Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, that is one that has 10 kilos of ballast on board. The Lincoln Co only has 2 from memory. Here we are then with Alex Hodgkinson, joined very, very late to get in. Was the last joiner onto the server. Didn't have particularly the best brands round. Obviously, Alex works very hard behind the scenes to bring us stuff in RaceRoom. One of our guys built these cars, in fact. Maybe not showing the pace in it as you'd expect. Come on, step it up.
He is in the Cooper, which I
it's a
believe
fine
he's
car.
the only one. So
it is a fine car.
That is not helping him.
No, it's a fine car. I like the Cooper. It's the Cooper. Like I said before, the Cooper was my choice when I did Hungary in last season's WTCR Esports. Yes, I was not in server 1. I was in server
59,
3. Don't start. We're gonna one-on-one in these cars, Cam.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Deal. We're gonna broadcast that.
Possibly not.
No, I don't think so. That would be a bit too embarrassing. We'd be quite far off the pace, but I'm absolutely sure I would wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, well, these touring cars, they are slightly, well, they are very unique with how you have to drive them. And someone such as yourself, you had quite a bit of experience when I come from more rear-wheel drive situations, so that obviously gives you a bit of an advantage in that regard. But yeah, the drivers seem to be coping with them pretty well. I mean, I know quite a few of these drivers from other sims and other series and leagues and that sort of stuff, and there has been quite a few drivers who have experience. But some that I didn't necessarily know that they would be quick in a touring car, but they managed to sort out the whole front-wheel drive and how it balances for a corner and how you have to race them, which is quite a bit different, has to be said. But it definitely seems like these drivers have coped. So hopefully, after some laps driving, I'd get a bit close on pace as well.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things. These cars, for front-wheel drives, I actually rate these cars as very, very difficult to drive. There are some front-wheel drives where it's kind of easy. I'm sure Rob's just sat there going, "No, these are easy to drive." I was like, well, the thing is these have an awful lot of lift-off oversteer. From what I found, it changes car to car depending on which car it is, with how drastic that is. Some cars are particularly difficult to drive. I know Matt has tried pre-qualifying. Matt Richards has tried pre-qualifying in the Audi and doesn't really like it. Neither does Dan Kell. They don't really like that Audi. But there are certain cars that are quite easy to drive. I think the VW is quite a nice car to drive. Doesn't have so much lift-off oversteer. Very comfortable, but still plenty pacey, as we've seen so far this season. About ready to go for the first race. Who's going to be your pick?
Oh yeah, got 3 races though, so plenty of time for things to happen, and that 3-point gap could be 50 by the end if all goes wrong to one of the drivers. So I have to see what happens as we come to the first race here at Silverstone.
I'm going to go with Hurlock's going to win this race, and I reckon Matt is going to get onto the podium, and Rob Cross is going to get. I think Rob Cross might hold station. I don't know. I don't have too much confidence in Rob Cross' passing ability. No disrespect, by the way.
Yeah, well, we are about to find out. 20 minutes of racing for these drivers, and as we've seen, is that big back straight. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of dives into Stowe corner.
I'm having a message from Dan Hurlock saying it's not allowing him to grid up. So I don't know what's gone on there for Dan Hurlock, but that is the car that's missing from second place. He's not able to take to the grid. I'm sure he'll rejoin in the from the pit lane, but we are missing Dan Hurlock from the grid. Then that is madness. Not sure what's gone on there. But either way, from the pole position, Charles Rainford is going to have a decent launch. But look at that coming through the middle. That's Brandon Abraham, who's going to take the lead coming in towards Abbey. We've got 3 different manufacturers going at it at the top end of the field. Oh, a bit of contact there as Alex Everett was looking down the inside. There was a slight brief touch there between the VW and the Hyundai, but Brandon Abraham has taken the lead. Always going to run wide, though, coming in towards the third corner. And I think that's the Audi of Charles Rainford going to retake the lead. Whoa, that's a jump there. That's not ideal for Brandon Abraham, but either way, we've got the Audi leading from Alex Everett. We've got Rob Mason, who's in third position, Matt Richards directly behind. What has happened to Dan Hurlock?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't
He's
think
out.
he's going to be in this race. So that is going to be big points lost, especially as Matt Richards is currently sitting in 4th position. And Rainford's somehow got back to the lead. He really didn't get a good start in the end, actually, as they got through sort of into the second 100 meters of the start. He really had, well, he's having to defend here as well, coming almost 3 wide into the final chicane with Everett and Mason. Looks like these guys are very racy at the beginning, but maybe Rainford, as you say, first race isn't quite so used to this environment just yet. Who knows? We'll have to find out how good he is at leading.
Indeed, this is going to be a pretty tight slipstream battle. Of course, it's good to see 5 different even manufacturers battling it out in the top 5. We've got JJ Ross as well on a Honda in 6th position, thus showing the Honda is plenty pacey enough. Is Rob Mason going to try anything here? Or a bit of contact there between Alex Everett and Rainford coming down in towards turn 3. Further contact a bit further back. We've got JJ Ross going down the inside of Matt Richards. Now going to try and pick it up the outside. Come down towards the hangar straight. They've got Brandon Abraham trying to pick it up around the outside. Rob Ross needs to take advantage of this as well.
God, yeah, oh, look in the background, all those cars going over. I think as Matt Webb in the Alpha went jumping over on the undercuts as well, so they're going for every single position. This is crazy. Look, even more side-by-side action here now. Abraham having to defend around the outside of Stoke Corner, though. He's now got a Honda as well. I think that's Ross trying to go around the outside. 3 wide here on the exit of Stoke Corner. You don't always see this. They're running all off the track as they now come down into the Vale and Club chicane, which is this really awkward corner. Always the Linker there was trying to get to the apex, but there's the Hyundai in the way at the moment.
Yeah, it's a tight battle here at the top 5. We've got Rob Cross, JJ Ross, Dan Kell, who's just making his way up past JJ Ross now, who's dropping a bit further back on board with Rob Cross looking backwards. They're going side by side through Abbey. And you've got Will Tregertha as well, looking to muscle his way through in the background of this in that blue Audi. Going down in towards 3 again. Is it going to be, whoa, Will Tregertha down the inside. Did not spot that one. What a move. He really tried making that work. Now the side-by-side with James Ross coming down towards, oh, we're all getting muscled out here. I think that's Carter getting involved. JJ Ross, Will Tregertha's round. Tregertha is round.
Oh, he actually saved that pretty well, but he has lost plenty of places. You can see everyone's getting their elbows out here. We're only 3 minutes into this race. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what is making them do this at the moment. They're just going for every single position that they see, and it seems turn 3 is a massive place for these dive bombs.
Yeah, it was not ideal there. I think that was a bit of a lunge from Carter coming towards the hangar straight. There's going to be further contact here. Oh, Matt Webb's there trying to force his way through in the Alpha. Maybe go and grab himself a reverse grid pole. Now he's up into 9th position. You've got JJ Ross directly behind him, who's moved slightly further backwards in this race.
He got 2 positions there, did Webb, as well. Down the inside of one and then around the outside of the next one as well. So all the positions were on board with Kamish at the moment. Down in 16th place, got these 2 Audis ahead of him as there's a little bit of contact as they go into the braking zone, and they're trying to go almost 3 wide again. They love a bit of 3 wide here today.
They are absolutely loving it. That was Curran and I think it was Dixon directly ahead of this. It is absolute madness out there. Dan Kamish there in 16th place, just 1 position outside of the points whilst he's in this battle with Dan Kell to grab a top 5 in the championship. Directly behind this, we've got Stephens, we've got Foyle as well, that previous race winner back in Brands. Coming down towards Stowe. Oh, it's a bit of a late lunge there from Kamish. Not quite to the extent that he had in the previous time we were at Silverstone. He had that great lunge into Maggots.
Yeah, you got to be careful to not hit someone on the back, as we saw Will Tregurtha, especially in these front-wheel drive cars, it just spins them around. And we haven't actually seen too much of that this season, which has been pretty good. There's been a lot of side-by-side banging, but no one coming that far back that you clip their rear wheel. But yeah, unfortunately, Tregurtha now down in 21st place. As we look at Dan Hurlock in the pit lane, he will not be getting any points here in this first race at least, and hopefully he can get back in for race 2.
Yeah, he's got to stay on the server if he wants to be in that second race. But that is a terrible shame. I am unsure as to what happened to him. He says he's just got a grey screen when he's trying to click race. So unsure as to what's happened for Hurlock. And unfortunately, I think that's going to make the championship a very uphill struggle. We've got Matt Richards here in 4th position, just behind Rob Mason, Alex Everett, and then Charles Rainford, who is putting together a pretty decent race thus far in the opening 5 minutes, leading away from the VW and the Honda alike.
And he's got a little bit of a gap, which we don't always see, it has to be said. Often the pack stays really close together, but he's managed to get a little bit of a gap from Everett, who was actually pretty impressive in one of the first races in Silverstone National when we're at the other end of the circuit, who's, yes, looking pretty good there in 2nd place. But Rainford has got a bit of a gap, which means that even if he makes a small mistake, he's not going to be pounced on like is what generally happens.
Yeah, indeed. Rob Mason's putting in a good drive here. I think further back we've got a battle for 14th position as well, because I'm pretty sure Dixon and Simon have been swapping positions as they run towards Abbey. Here we are. We've got the 3 grey Audis. Sorry for the car choice there. That's my bad. Mike Curran there, just going for a cutback. Simon and Dixon ahead. Dixon on debut here in Server 1. Trying to put on a decent show. Curran down the inside, heading up toward the Hangar Straight. Oh, we're on board with Camish. He's just getting involved. They're all getting slid around all over the place. Wow, I don't know what happened there, but Dan Camish is gained a couple of positions regardless. I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, once again, just one of the rear of one of the Audis got hit, and that just spun them across. They were 3 wide once again, as we've seen plenty of times in this race. And now Camish was up to briefly 14th, but once again, they're 3 wide as we come down through Vale into the club chicane. And it seems like Camish has finally been able to get that. Oh, who's that? VW coming through the middle of everyone. Look at this.
There's a bit of contact there between himself and Camish. Now he's trying to gain an extra couple of points on the inside of Tom Stevens. Oh, a little rub between that. Behind this, you've got Tregurtha. He's making his recovery up the grid. You've got Curran as well. It is absolute madness. Oh, there's contact and he's just spun him out. Will Tregurtha. What a race. Oh, he corrected him, though. Mike Curran and Will Tregurtha getting a little bit racy. Heading up towards Abbey. Will Tregurtha then gains the position up to 17th. Curran's gone for the cutback. Nearly a rub again between the two of them. Is there going to be a cheeky dive? I think not.
And as you say, this is 17th place. These drivers are going crazy for these lower end places. They know it's the final round of the season. They just got to do absolutely everything. But they are going pretty crazy here, has to be said, as he's now Curran's now trying to go round the outside of Will Tregurtha into Stowe corner. And this is a really good move if you can hold it around the outside, but he's not quite brave enough on the brakes. And Tregurtha's doing pretty good to hold this position at the moment. Yeah, these guys are going crazy, especially in these Audis. There's quite a few of them in this midfield.
Yes, I mean, I said before the broadcast started, I was like, well, I mean, look, Brands Hatch was a little bit messy. We won't get that today. This is a nice raceable circuit. Everyone's going to be patient. Oh boy, was I wrong. Brandon Abraham, who led the very, very early part, had an incredible launch. Now goes down the inside for 5th position on Rob Cross, heading down towards turn 3. Decent move, nice little cutback, but I don't think that's going to work from Rob Cross. So a fairly decent move, a clean move from Brandon Abraham. So whilst they're going out hammer and tongs in the back end of the field, towards here, they're all right. That, though, will be a track cut.
Yeah, that was just a little bit wide, and it's actually pretty good for him because he's managed to keep that position on the straight as well. I think he's going to be able to defend this into Stowe corner, so he's looking pretty good for 5th position, although he's actually got a little bit wide, and that's going to give the Lincoln Co a chance to come up the inside, but actually no, he just got blocked off a little bit there. He's going to have to try again. That's Rob Cross just behind him. And it looks like that position has been done for 5th place, but he's got a little bit of a gap to catch up now if he wants to get to Matt Richards, who's looking fairly nice there in 4th position. He probably will know by now that Hurlock's out of the race, and he doesn't need to do anything too crazy.
There's a couple of people a bit further down. There's James Cross. Is he behind? I was about to ask where Robert Oldman was. I'm sure there is nothing between the two of them that's happened here. Obviously, it's a very feisty fight between the tuners, but no, I'm sure it's all right. Oh, here we got Dan Shotton Brooks. Is that McGlade on the inside of him? No, Simon. I think it's No, it is McGlade. Okay, right. So they've just switched positions. So Dan Shotton Brooks has now gone up into 20th position. So inside that top 20 was one of the people that was promoted up from Server 2. Was the last of the qualifiers to get into this one. Down the inside, though, that's going to be an interesting line from McGlade, who's not had the best race, qualified decently, but currently down the order in 21st position. Back up with Charles Rainford, a race leader, Alex Everett. That second half of the race pace coming in for the VW looks pretty handy. Of course, the more experienced driver of Alex Everett in this championship might understand a little bit more with what's going on with the tyres and how the car is towards the end of the race. Charles Rainford in his first race in this car might just struggle in that second half of the race.
Yeah, Everett did a really good race earlier in the season as well, so we know that he's capable of it, especially in this series, in this car, and he has caught up that gap that I said that Rainford had a few laps ago. But there's still just under half of the race to go, so this is when we're going to see, as you say, we're going to see maybe the tyre wear, maybe the driving mistakes and a bit of pressure coming into it. As you know, those points are getting ever closer. But he's doing a pretty good job for the moment, has to be said. But that gap is certainly closing. And Everett is getting even closer on this lap, I think, as well.
It is getting closer and closer. All this a little bit further down. This is with Dan Camish trying to get on Miles Dixon. Dixon's not one who's particularly pacey all of the time, but when he finds his pace, when he finds his rhythm, can actually be a perfectly decent touring car driver. Can muscle his way out as well. So we've got Camish down the inside heading towards Stowe Corner. We've got Will Tregertha directly behind this. We're going to see a battle of the pros, I'm sure, imminently down the inside, though. Dan Camish, there's a little bit of a rub there between himself and Miles Dixon. That's a position gain for Camish. Is Dixon going to respond coming in towards Club? I think he's going to be a little bit too far back. He's got a lot of smoke up ahead of this. Will Tregertha, though, down the inside. Going to go for a cut back here. Oh, it's going to be tight. They're going to be side by side at the final corner. That's not really ideal. He's definitely not there. Is there going to be a touch? No, there is not. That is tight.
Now, Will Tregertha, he's really good on the brakes today, isn't he? We saw him go 3 wide down the inside of 2 or 3 cars in turn 3 earlier as well. So he's obviously feeling that his brakes are working pretty well, and he's done well to get back up. If you remember, he was the one who spun out on that back straight probably about 5 or 6 minutes ago now. So he's done pretty well to get himself back up to the potential of getting some points as well.
On board with Matt Webb, who's on the back of one of the Miles brothers' cars. Of course, Rich Miles, who showed some very, very good pace in the first round of the season, not able to make the second, not able to make it here. Just personal issues allowing him a bit of a breather from the British RaceRoom Championship's Touring Car Challenge. Matt Webb, though, going to fire it down the inside. That's not really ideal. Maybe an odd choice for Matt Webb to have taken the Alpha at the start of the season, but I'm sure he's growing to love that car, surely he is. He's going to try and pick the outside of Club. He's going to try and stick it all the way around. Is he going to be there? He certainly is. He's now got the inside for the second part of the chicane, coming up towards the final corner. 11th position is surely going to go the way of Matt Webb. Dan Camish, though, not very far behind this, and dragging Miles Dixon, Tom Stevens and Will Tregertha directly behind as well. It's pretty tight.
Webb has been doing pretty good, you can't really say anything else. He's done well considering he's the only one in that Alpha, and especially I think it was the last race he actually had quite a big spin that put him out of a decent position on that occasion as well. But yeah, Webb is looking pretty good in that Alpha, as you've been saying.
Yeah, Dixon tried going for a dive there on Camish. Oh, wide again. They've got to be careful because they don't get a slowdown on the first time they cut, but after a couple you will get a slowdown penalty. It will tell you, you've got to give back this much time, good sir. So you've got to be careful with running too wide here. I've heard some of the track cuts around here can be a little bit brutal as well. Dan Camish then on the back of Dan Miles. I don't think we're going to get the 5-way Dan fight at the top end of the field like we did in race 3 last time. Ooh, that was a bit of a dive there from Stevens.
Yeah, Stevens really good on those brakes into the chicane, and he's managed to make that work. And we don't always see that. We usually see the drivers going side by side there in the chicane, but he's managed to make that work up into a 14th place. And just talking about Camish, I believe he was down in 16th or 17th position, so he's slowly getting there, but I don't think he's going to be able to quite make it to 10th position for that reverse grid.
No, it's a bit of a challenge now. Miles Dixon's going to go straight back down the inside. That's surely it's too late on the brakes. Oh, it's not though. There's a bit of contact behind as Tregertha's going to get by Stevens, and Tregertha's I think he might have nearly got by Dixon as well there. Did he? He did.
Yeah, a car's disappeared there, hasn't they? Someone definitely had a bit of a spin there or something into turn
Stevens.
3 there. Yeah, he certainly went a bit sideways at least either way. And we now got Camish coming up the inside of Stowe corner. Can he make it work on the brakes? He's going to get his car there at least. There might be a bit of contact on the apex. But yeah, now he's actually got the car around the outside. That's Miles around the outside there. Managed to defend that pretty well. Camish is going to have to now set him up for the chicane, although he's actually too far back on this occasion. But he will be getting himself lined up to get a move down into turn 3, I'm sure. So maybe he will be able to get himself a couple more points here as we head into the final 5 minutes of the race.
Yeah, he definitely needs to get some more points on the board. P5 for the championship is up for offer if he can close in on Dan Keller a little bit. But Dan Keller in 7th position is obviously in the reverse grid spots at the moment, so he'll reverse his way up the top 10 at the moment. On reverse grid pole is Mike Smith in a VW. Carter is actually going to get a reverse grid. He was 11th in both the reverse grid or prior to the reverse grid races last time, so he missed the reverse grid pole by a single position. Matt Rich is going to have Brandon Abraham down the inside. Abraham once again showing some pretty decent speed. Not really going to fight the Hyundai too much at the moment. Is the Zancho Simsport driver.
There's a nice clean move there up the inside, and Matt Richards knows that because of Hurlock's issues, as we previously mentioned, he doesn't need to fight this like crazy. He doesn't need every single point because he's going to get a nice little advantage after this race at least, and 5th place is still nice. That means he'll be 6th place in the reverse grid as well. So yeah, looking pretty good for now, but he just needs to make sure that he doesn't do anything silly because he doesn't want to lose points if he can avoid it.
Rob Cross is directly behind Matt Richards, and of course it is close between them in the championship. Rob Cross came into this 12 points off the championship lead, so 9 points off of Matt Richards. So it is still plenty tight between those two. So the championship is most certainly not done for Matt Richards. Definitely a lot up for grabs over the final 2 races of the season and the final 3 and a bit minutes of this, especially if Matt Richards' pace seems to be dropping a little bit. The next Lincoln Co behind as well, of course, is Matt Richards' teammate, so I'm sure he won't drop behind Dan Kell. Here's speaking of another Dan Camish. This is side by side with Dan Miles coming up towards Stowe corner. He's not fully there, but he's just about enough. You can see on the right hand side of your screen, you've got Dan Camish. You can see what he can see. A bit of a lunge down the inside, and that should be up into 12th position. A nice cutback though, beautiful cutback from Miles. He's going to have to stick it around the outside of the chicane though. We've seen that work a couple of times, but he's definitely committed to it. Backs out of it though, and Dan Miles going to settle for 13th place, and Dan Camish up into 12th.
Another position for him. He's slowly getting there. He's got a little bit of a gap now to Webb, but he does have probably about 3 more laps that they have in this race for him to try and make something up. And back at the front, Rainford, he's got that gap back out again to Everett, so he's looking pretty strong here for this first race victory at Silverstone International.
Yeah, just closing on Rob Oldman there in the foreground, who's got a bit of a damaged car. The one that just crept by and shot there. It has been a quality race from Charles Rainford. Alex Everett's put on pressure but not able to get by. Of course, Crest Autosport, one of the teams that's taken a victory this season, in the hands of William Foyle, who's a lot further down the grid than maybe we would expect, down in 19th place at the moment. His teammates doing good stuff for the team. There's no teams championship in this, but of course people do join in teams, and that's one thing that we've noted across the run of the Touring Car Challenge here in the British RaceRoom Championship. Is a lot of drivers have joined teams or become a part of a team, maybe made their own team across the season. So we've seen teams really come into it, and I love that. I like that growth in community. So props to you.
It always helps when you have some people to practice with and get used to the car. Obviously, I believe it's fixed setup for these drivers, but at least practicing with people and having sort of sharing that knowledge, driving lines, braking zones, that sort of stuff, it's always really helpful when you have the ex-drivers on hand for you to be able to maybe learn a bit more knowledge that you don't already have. And we're currently looking at Stevens. Oh no, jumped ahead to Wiltshire. Once again in turn 3, he's having some action. He's loved this corner during the race. He's now back up into 13th place there, getting past Miles as well. So Miles dropping 2 places in 2 laps here.
Decent recovery from Wiltshire. He's up to 13th, like you say. He's slipstreaming up to the back of Dan Camish. Has shown some very, very good pace on his recovery, not really losing too much time whilst making all these moves. A little bit of a dart left and right. Behind this, we've got Miles. There goes Dixon down the inside of Miles. The Miles and Miles battle. Dan Miles, Miles Dixon. It's not confusing.
It's been quite a few of the same names in many positions here, as we now have him having to defend from Dixon here into the final chicane as we come on to what will be the final lap of the race.
Yeah, so it is a bit. Now we've got miles and miles. We've had the Ross Cross. Last time we had the Dan. We've also had 3 Davids. It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. Miles Dixon, they're going to try and stick around the outside of Abbey. That's not really a proper overtaking opportunity, but if he carries the speed through it enough and has that wider entrance, he should be able to do a cheeky lunge. Doesn't feel it. Still in a point-paying position at the moment. A bit further up the grid. Mike Smith, this is the battle for reverse grid pole. Is Matt Webb going to do anything coming in towards Stowe and the final chicane?
He's only got really 2 opportunities into Stowe and then final chicane, as you said, so he's really going to have to try and make something work, and I don't think he's quite got an opportunity, but somebody who does have an opportunity is just ahead of them. Carter going up into 8th position.
At the front though, Rainford's going to be coming through the final corner now. It has been a great display, pole position, and it's now going to be a race victory for Charles Rainford. Did not expect that myself. Quality drive, dealt with pressure from Alex Everett and Rob Mason behind, and also survived an early barrage from Brandon Abraham. So good stuff. Mike Smith is going to grab reverse grid pole on his server 1 return. Was in server 1, I believe, back in round 1. Now in server 1 this time. So quality drive from him. Good stuff. But Charles Rainford victorious. Impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty good, and Everett caught him up in the middle part of the race, but he managed to stretch that gap out just enough that we didn't really see them battle at all. Rainford just had that sorted. We need to see what he can do now coming through the grid, as he will obviously be starting from 10th place, as we mentioned with the reverse grid. So that is really where you see the potential ability of the drivers. As we saw, Matt Richards did a really good job in his second race of the season, and as you can see here, got ahead of Cross as well, so that is important for the championship, as well as Hurlock not starting the race.
Yeah, curious to see what David Cart could do with the pace. He's starting from 3rd position in the next race. JJ Ross dropped back a position on him on the final lap of the race, and Mike Smith from that reverse grid pole. Carter, like we said before, he missed out. He's in 11th position in race 1 and race 2 back in Brands. But now that he's starting from one of those positions, we've seen some good pace out of him all season. He's maybe a little bit rusty on racecraft. Hasn't taken a podium yet this season. But there's definitely one up for grabs here. Dan Miles, 14th position, had a race-long battle with Dan Cambish and Will Tregertha. There is your finishing positions. You can see Will Tregertha, fastest lap of the race from Will Tregertha, now starting from 13th position on the grid. You would favour him for a reverse grid, maybe in the final race. Either way, we'll come back in just a few moments, and we'll join you for race 2. Until then, enjoy.
KW, für jeden Anspruch das richtige Fahrwerk.
Well, welcome back then to Silverstone International. We've had a crazy opening race to proceedings here for the final round of the British RaceRoom Championships Touring Car Challenge, brought to you by Cobra Motorsport. And Cam, we've got a bit of spice in the championship. We've seen maybe things slip out of the hands of Dan Hurlock. I've just been measuring me. I think he can do race 2. Of course, he's going to be a little bit miffed by what's happened. For Matt Richards and Rob Cross, things are definitely heating up at the top end.
Yeah, Rich still was able to just beat Rob Cross in that race, so he's extended his gap just a little bit. But for Dan Hurlock, yeah, he's going to be obviously starting at the back as well, because it goes from the results of the previous race. We do hope he'll be able to start this race as well, because there's no... don't know if there's confirmation yet if that's actually possible, or if his issue is still continuing. So we're going to have to see in a couple of minutes' time when we get to the grid of that race. But hopefully he can, because then he's still just within an opportunity to really get this championship, although it'll be a bit harder.
He is in the session. He is driving around, so he's been able to click the race button. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that he can join the grid. He's messaged me. There he is. With a touch of confidence, he said, yeah, I guess it's time to put on a show. Did 19th to 6th at Brands Race 2. So you never know.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. He had a very good race on that occasion, so I have to see how that comes into play. But here is your live, up-to-date standings after the first race.
It is tight. Look at that. Matt Richards, 98 points, 8 points clear of Hurlock, a further 2 points clear of Rob Cross. So things very, very much up for grabs at the top end of the field. You see Alex Everett there, who's moved up, courtesy of that second position, into 6th. Oh, Everett, Camish and Carter are all tied on 53 points. Alex Everett with that second place then is obviously top of that pile on an effective tiebreak, but nevertheless, that is pretty juicy at the bottom end of the top 6.
And for Hurlock, it's actually not looking too bad, considering he literally missed a race. But his only real disadvantage is that he's going to be starting right from the back of this one. That is the main thing that he's going to have to do. He's going to have to get up into that top 10 to have a chance of fighting for victory in race 3. That's really his only choice.
I'm going to take you back in time to a time when time was timey time, that I was battling with Hurlock for a championship, and in race 1, I think he had an issue with the pit lane. It was another 3-race championship, whatever. And I don't think he didn't score a point in race 1, as far as I remember. He had to start. I think he had to start from last. I think he might have retired or whatever from the first race. Had to start last in the second race. Made it all the way up to 2nd though. So my point is when he needs to overtake, boy oh boy, Dan Hurlock can make those moves happen. So I mean, I think we're going to see something exciting. I think it's more of like a reconciliation. Hopefully he gets up into the top 10 and can reverse his way up in the 3rd race. This championship is still all to play for. Matt Richards is going to be starting higher up the order. Rob Cross is only going to be a position ahead of him, as far as I remember. And Dan Hurlock is going to be starting all the way at the back of the field. Who's your pick, Cam?
It's hard to say. I'll tell you when we get to turn 3.
Oh, I see. I'm going to go with my man, Carter. I think Carter, come on, it's your big day. Me and Rob, we're rooting for you. At the top of the field, though, it is Mike Smith from JJ Ross, from Carter and Kel behind. We're about to go racing for the 2nd race here at Silverstone International, and we are underway. And that Lincoln Cobra directly behind of David Carter seems to have a pretty decent launch coming up towards Abbey. He's going to try and pick it around the outside of JJ Ross, and I think he may well do so. There's a little bit of contact between the two, but I think that position is going to go the way of David Carter. Mike Smith at the front, though, has got a decent launch. Oh, is that Dan Kel going around the outside? Down the inside there is Carter. There's a bit of contact between the two heading up towards the 3rd corner, and David Carter, after 2 corners into the race, is up into the race lead. Fantastic work down the inside goes Rob Cross. What a start he has had, desperate to get his championship underway. A bit of contact between himself and Mike Smith in the VW. David Carter pulling everyone over to the right hand side of the circuit, though, trying to pull that slipstream off of Mike Smith, dropping it onto Rob Cross. A bit of a dangerous bit there if his race chances are up for grabs. Going down the inside as well, there's Dan Kel trying to make it a Lincoln Co 1-2-3, but Mike Smith just getting a little bit of a bump from behind and bumping Rob Cross as well. Carter, though, is going to lead the end of the 1st lap.
That is once again, elbows out for all these different drivers. And I tell you what, Dan Hurlock has already made up quite a few positions, up into 18th place at the moment. So that's like, I think 6 cars he's already overtaken just on lap 1. So if he can keep this up, he will be into the top 10 in no time. And that's really what he needs to be able to do.
This could be an incredible end to the championship. Matt Richards now in 6th position, Rob Cross in 2nd. That's our main fight for the championship that we'll keep an eye on. He's just behind JJ Ross as well, and he's got Brandon Abraham directly behind him, past him in the latter stages of the previous race. Matt Richards now trying to move his way up into the top 5. He's got JJ Ross directly ahead, not able to get by there. Of course, JJ Ross races in, or raced at least in the previous year in the Clio. Europe, I think it was. Dan Camish, by the way, has got up into the reverse grid pole of 10th position. Miles Dixon and Rainford, who's dropped a couple of positions on the start. He's now being pinched by Miles Dixon, maybe going to still try and make a lunge down the inside. He is going to do so and going to make that one stick. Nice move from Rainford.
That was really nice, wasn't it? All those guys.
That was not so nice.
We'll ignore that. But the bit on the apex, he's actually gone down the dive on Dan Camish as well. So he's looking really good on the brakes, is Rainford at the moment. That has turned into an attack for Camish, who's now trying to get on the back, or past, I should say, Mason.
Here comes Dixon again. Oh my goodness me, this is absolute manic stuff.
Any position that they see, they're just going for it.
Yeah, this is why you need to take part in touring car racing, Ken.
Oh, maybe that is the future for me. Who knows? Maybe if there's another series of this, I'll try and qualify. Oh, we got contact there now, down for 5th position. That's Matt Richards. I believe that is trying to get involved as well.
Dan Kell trying to get by Mike Smith, going to pick it up at 4. There's going to be a little rub between the two of them, maybe. I think he might lift out of it though, because here comes his teammate Matt Richards for Zansho Simsport, the two of them side by side. I don't think he'll be repaying the favour of racing in too hard like the last time they were in Silverstone. And of course, they've got team manager Ed Trillian Johnson watching. So I don't think they'll do anything too silly. So that position does go the way of Matt Richards. This is the battle for the race lead. David Carter trying to hang on from Rob Cross, trying to take his 2nd victory of the season. David Carter trying to take his 1st victory in his return to sim racing. Clips the apex there nicely and just manages to hang on for now.
That move there from David Carter tells me I'm winning this race. He's really going for at the front, although for the 3rd position, we've still got these guys going at it. We've got Richard Smith and Kell all going at it. 3-way fight as they now come up into turn number 1 and 2. You don't really want to be going side by side. So who is going to lose out on this? I think it might be the VW there of Smith, who's getting a little bit lost there.
Yeah, I think Dan Kell's also going to make that move back up to the race lead. David Carter holds on beautifully into T3. This is the battle for Dan Kell with JJ Ross, with Mike Smith, with Alex Everett trying to get involved in all of this. It's absolute manic stuff. Daniel Kell is going to get up in the 4th position, so it's a Lincoln Co. 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top end of the field. And JJ Ross has gone around the outside of T4 to get his position up and back to the race lead. Looking from Helicamp, beautiful stuff. David Carter still leading the way, but I think it's going to be a lunge down the inside from Rob Cross. Not quite there. David Carter's going to hang on for yet another lap. It is tight stuff. A lot of pressure heading the way of David Carter.
And I saw a cross there from another camera angle was flashing all the way. Now as he tries to go down the inside, but yeah, he was flashing Carter all the way down the straight to say, yeah, I'm coming for you. This is going to be a big fight, as we've already had the first 5 minutes of this race.
This is Carter's race, but this is Rob Cross's championship, and he can see Matt Richards coming from behind. So it is tight stuff, and this is big for the championship, because if Rob Cross wins this race, if Matt Richards comes behind and takes 2nd position, let's say that, there is only 5 points between them coming into that final race. It is enthralling. In all of this, where has Hurlock's got up into the points, so he's in 15th position now, diving down the inside. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. That's not so clean. That was on Dan Miles. But he's just dived down the inside. Now he might lose a position here to Rainford, who's dropped way down the order. Maybe not feeling so comfortable in the mid packs. But Hurlock just trying desperately to come up the order as quick as he can.
Yeah, don't want to get yourself penalty.
Oh no!
Did he did that on himself? I think Dave Carter might have done that on himself. If not, there's a little bit of a clipping there.
I'm absolutely sure there was contact between the two of them. Carter's out of this race. That is such a shame. Rob Cross just clips the rear end in the middle of the braking zone of David Carter, and that is a sad end to proceedings for Carter. Still in the server, but has retired from the race.
Yeah. Rob Cross went all the way across the track, and it is quite wide there, so he took a massive lunge down into Stowe, but obviously just slightly misjudged that, catching the back of Carter. And I do wonder, could that potentially be a penalty later, potentially after the race? I'm not quite sure how that worked, but that could be championship implications there as well.
Yeah, I think regardless of what happens, the standings that we get after this race and after this entire round and at the end of the season will be very much provisional until the stewards have had a look. Dan Camish up into 7th position, so making some decent progress up the order. Now sat on the back of Brandon Abraham, who's not waiting behind it's Mike Smith that he's trying to get by down towards Stowe Corner. Didn't quite do it there. The VW hangs on once again.
And Camish has done really well here. Remember, he was about 16th, 17th place at one point in race 1, and now he's got himself up into 7th place here in race 2. He's got inside that top 10, which is the crucial part, and now he's looking to get some decent points as Abraham and Smith go side by side in the final corner, and Abraham has managed to make that work. That's actually quite a good overtaking opportunity. It has worked out to be in that final corner, although it's really a kink. But yeah, managed to make that work. 5th place at the moment.
Indeed. Indeed. It is tight. So Rainford's gained up another position. So he's did gain that position on Hurlock. He's now trying to figure his way around the outside. Rainford down the inside of Miles. Further contact again. That's like 2 or 3 laps in a row that Miles has picked up some boffing down at T3. Rainford though back down the inside. Further contact between the two as they run off towards the grass and the exit of the corner onto the Hangar Straight.
And once again, very wide.
Is that Beckett's? Does that count as Beckett's?
Chapel.
Chapel, that's the one I meant. Does it actually count as Chapel?
I'm not sure because they're going the wrong way. It's
right.
actually not the full GP.
Right, so what would I call it? I'm just going to go with Chapel, it's fine.
Yeah, Camish now is up into 6th place as well, so he's looking really good. He's had a massive dive down the inside there from Mike Smith.
Camish has a drive-through penalty. You can see that on your screen there. A drive-through penalty for the slow warning. He ignored the slow warning, so he did pick up a slowdown and didn't serve it, so has picked up a drive-through penalty. That's going to drop him all the way back to stone dead last.
Yeah, that's one of those sort of silly ones because he could have just lifted off a bit, lost a couple of seconds, a few positions, but instead he's going to lose basically all of the points and everything that he's gained. But he's 6th position at the moment, and this is really going to be all for nothing as he will have to serve that drive-through, as you said. So we're really looking at Mike Smith now for 6th place. Albeit contact there with Everett, that is, as a come through Chapel, as we'll call it, onto the Hangar Straight.
Yeah, that was dicey stuff. Diving it down the inside, VW on VW action behind this as well. Miles Dixon, who's very close, who's going to look down the inside of Stowe. Is he going to commit on the brakes? Picks up the slipstream from Mike Smith and does commit on the brakes. A bit of contact between Everett and Dixon is going to gain a position. Or is that Dan Camish? Is that Dan Camish dropping back and he's going to come down pit lane? Serves that drive-through penalty immediately. That is a shame for Dan Camish. It's a big pit lane here as well. It's very slow.
Yeah, we'll have to see where he drops down to. Though goes to first, as such as you cut the final corner, but then yeah, he's just going to drop down and down and down.
That's a shame.
All the way. I do hope. Is he actually coming into retire? Maybe we'll have to see as that works out. As Dan Hurlock now up into 13th place. He's almost there. He's almost into the top 10, and this is really what we need to look.
You're right. Camish has retired. He still had the auto pistol. Well, I actually don't have serve driving, so fair enough. I would have done the same thing. Either way, though, Mike Smith ahead of this gaggle. We've got Tregurtha diving it down the inside. We've got Dixon directly behind. Tregurtha was trying to gain a position and move his way up, who's gotten up into 8th position as well. So great stuff from here. Alex Everett and Rob Mason, who's going to be starting from reverse grid pole if he finishes in his current position. And this is just outside it. We've got Dan Hurlock coming quickly towards the back end of the field. We've got Matt Webb directly ahead. We've got Rainford ahead of that, and that's Matt Webb maybe trying to go for something. Dan Hurlock is going to try and muscle his way up, though. Oh, he's going to have to try and slipstream it and then get it around the outside. Not really there. Is it going to be a lunge? He's also having to fight Miles directly behind as well. This is madness. Oh, that's mad. That is mad. That was a bit of a turn in there from Rainford. And now Matty Webb.
We saw this earlier, a couple of cars hitting the Andy-cuts, but nothing like that. He got absolutely sent into the air and will be dropping right to the back of the field. That is not what he wanted at all. So now got Tregurtha getting overtaken there by Everett. I think that is in turn number 2. That's an unusual place, but now Tregurtha back.
Dixon, that was Dixon. This is getting feisty stuff here. This is getting very fisticuffs. In all of this, where is Hurlock? Hurlock's in 12th position. Actually, hasn't gained that much. We see him now. He's going up into 11th. This is obviously for the championship. That's side by side with Miles. He's now going to pick up Everett. Look at this train. It is crazy, crazy stuff here. In all this, Charles Rainford's got back up in towards P8 despite being P14 a couple of minutes ago. Hurlock's there, going to go down the inside and going to get up into the top 10. Is he going to do it? There's contact there at Stowe. He's going to gain another position here if he gets by Rainford as well. Tregertha, rather. This is madness. Tregertha's still down the inside. Hurlock's still going to pick it up on the outside. They're 3 wide directly behind this. No one flips the chicane this time. And Hurlock is going to hang on to 9th position. Hurlock is in that top 10 though.
That is really good news for him, and there's a little bit of a gap behind as well. 8.5 minutes to go. Can he hang on into this top 10? That'll be absolutely crucial for this championship, as we see 2 cars just slightly behind who go side by side into turn number 1 as well. Luckily, they get through there casually and nicely as well. But yeah, Hurlock, really good performance so far. Made up, I believe, 15 places. Oh, who's that?
Further death. That was Miles, I think, having issues again going in towards turn 3, and now we've got Stevens behind. He's now going to go down the inside of Simon. This is really hard to keep on top of, by the way, guys. I do apologise. Miles there in 14th position, going to be on the inside up towards Stowe, and I think this is going to be the position for Miles. But I mean, well, that's how things have gone so far. You never really know. See, exactly that. As Simon's gone for the cutback, picks it up down the inside and retakes that position directly behind this Tom Stevens in the blue Audi. Where's he going to go? Oh, that was close to being a bit of nearly a spin.
Yeah, especially when you see a Hyundai round in turn 3, and you just think it is Hurlock, who's now up into 9th place, as we said, defending his way now from Will Tregertha. And he's got Rainford, who you previously mentioned, has got himself back up into 18th place. Your race winner from race number 1, who's now got himself back into a good position in this race number 2 after struggling quite a bit. He was down like 15th place at one point, where he's managed to work his way back up. Where Hurlock is going to have a big job to defend this position and keep himself inside this top 10.
It is tight stuff here. This is crazy racing with 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Hurlock in that 9th position. We're back up to the battle for 2nd. Don't think anything's going to happen here. Matt Richards has no real pressure from behind. Of course, Dankel, his teammate, which does mean that he can set his sights clearly on Rob Cross. That time has come down, by the way, 4/10 on the previous lap. If Matt Richards can take a victory here, surely the championship is very much one hand on his part. But if Rob Cross wins it, the swing, oh, it's coming. And that final race is going to be crazy. In the back of this, we've got Brandon Abraham and JJ Ross going side by side out of the final corner up towards turn 1. Brandon Abraham is going to hold that position in 4th, so JJ Ross not able to. 5th goes his way. And Rob Mason, by the way, in the Honda, down in 6th. Wondering what he's going to do in the next race.
Yes, such as
the first.
Such as the crazy things happening in this midfield. That top sort of 5 and 6 have really pulled away a little bit. Actually, they got quite a nice little gap there at the front. As we are looking at Tregertha in that 10th place, reverse grid pole position at this moment, but he does have Everett right behind him. We know he's very quick himself, so he's still going to be battling all the way down the Hanger Straight. These guys love a little bit of slipstream and a bit of diving down into Stowe Corner. As we see Everett now not quite close enough at this moment, but he's going to go, well, actually he's quite early on the brakes there in comparison, but that could give him a really good exit run to try and do something in the chicane. Well, actually he's just a little bit too far behind. He's he's there, but not quite close enough, as we've seen some of the drivers already.
Yeah, Everett's really trying to apply the pressure here in the VW. We saw some decent race pace out of him in the latter stages of the first race against an Audi, but now look at this, Hurlock. As much as he's got Will Tregertha directly behind, he has closed up to Mike Smith and will be looking to gain a fresh position here and really secure himself a reverse grid decent place. It has been a quality drive from Dan Hurlock. Will Tregertha maybe looking down the inside. I think that's more of a defensive move from the VW behind. Hurlock, ooh, not quite. As we head towards Chapel. On board with Mike Smith looking backwards. He's run wide though at Chapel as Mike Smith. Maybe a little bit too far wide, not quite. Picking up the slipstream though, Dan Hurlock, desperate to make a move. 4 minutes to go in this race. He's got a lot of pressure from behind. If he has any hopes of winning this championship, he needs a decent reverse grid and then an awful lot of luck. Hurlock's down the inside. It should be the position done for him. Smith's going to try and stick it around the outside of Stowe. Going to get muscled wide a little bit there. And the position does go the way of Dan Hurlock.
Feisty racing between these two.
Oh, speaking of, Will Tregertha. Speaking of feisty racing.
Yeah, he was miles behind. And that is, I think, the third time we've seen him do a massive dive bomb. And that's given a nice gap for Dan Hurlock as well. Up into 8th place. This is even better for him, even more points. But yeah, he's still losing quite a lot to Cross and Richards, but he might just have a chance in race 3 if he can start from basically the front, as 8th will be 3rd position on the reverse grid.
Yeah, it's going to be big stuff there. We've got Rob Cross leading the way. We've got Brandon Abraham, who is closing in on this, by the way, on the battle for the podium. Matt Richards has closed up to half a second. I'm getting word that he's a little bit worried of Hurlock's position in the next race. Obviously, he's going to reverse up to position 3, but it's 20 points behind. Will Hurlock be on Richards? Considering there's 25 points for a race victory, that's still a pretty tough cliff to climb.
It's always good to keep that option open, though. He doesn't want to go into that final race not with having any sort of chance. As we saw, Richards did have a disconnection in one of the races in Brands Hatch as well, which meant he got no points. So anything can happen, as we know. And it actually looks like Richards is getting pretty close here, as they've only got a couple of laps left here at Silverstone International. So this could be them heating up for a final race battle in the 3rd race a bit later on.
Indeed. So Rob Cross dealing with the pressure. 2 minutes, 20 seconds to go. Going to be a couple of laps at the end of this one, and the pressure is going to be mounting more and more. Every lap that goes by, it will get more and more. Who is that who's left the game? Someone's left. Not sure. Either way, like I said, the pressure's going to be building more and more laps. As laps go by, he knows the pressure of this championship, and so it's sweaty palms time. Oh, Matt Richards, big contact there.
Ooh, he came in late. He was really late on those brakes. He's trying to get as close as he can, as we're going to have 2 laps left here for the 2nd race of Silverstone International. It is heating up for this victory. It's quite interesting that he's battling this so hard, but that every single point counts.
Yeah, indeed, it will be 5 points between Cross and Richards should it go this way, and they'll be even on the race win tiebreak. I actually think in that circumstance, the tiebreak would go the way, if they were to finish on the same points, it would actually go the way of Rob Cross, because he has a 2nd place finish, as far as I remember, or at least it has a. We'd have to double check that. But I'm pretty sure he has a 2nd place in the 1st race of the season. So for Matt Richards, I definitely want to get by Rob Cross here. One more lap to go at the end of this. We've got a Lincoln Co 123. We've got Brandon Abraham directly behind, and JJ Ross has dropped off of this, so it's the top 4 battling for that. Here's Dan Hurlock. He's got up into 7th position with Will Tregertha directly behind. Going to try and pass around the outside of Stowe corner, maybe go for a cutback. There's going to be a little bit of a rub on the apex. There it is. Not enough though. Hurlock holds position for now.
And yeah, 7th position is going to be really good for him, getting even closer on those points. But he's having to defend this so hard. Someone went off in the background.
Smith.
And see who that is. But yeah, these two still going side by side into the final corner, and he's actually going to make this just about on the outside. I think he's going to have about half a car length, but he's going to have to be really brave on the outside into turn number 1. But he's still got the high ground as he's now got the car length he needs to take that position completely, and he's done such a good job here getting up into 7th position.
It's Rob Mason who's left the server. That's why Hurlock and that have moved up a position. Obviously a disconnect on his part. I'm sure. Goodness, that's a shame for him after showing some good pace. Either way, top end of the field, we've got Rob Cross still leading the way. Final lap of the race, final few corners for him to run round, and this is monstrous for the championship. He came into this maybe as an almost outsider. It was really looking like it was going to be between Richards and Hurlock. It didn't go that way in the first race, courtesy of the issues that Hurlock faced. But either way, at the top end, coming through that final chicane, it is Rob Cross who is going to take the penultimate victory of the season, and this championship is going to go down to the wire. Matt Richards in 2nd, Dan Kell in 3rd. That is big, big stuff. Oh, there's contact there between Tregurtha and Dan Hurlock. That could be very big. If he picks up a slowdown from that, that could be monstrous stuff. I think he might have picked up a slowdown from that. Tregurtha's going to have him at the line. They're going to be side by side. There's a lot of rubbing between them. But Hurlock is going to get 8th position. So Tregurtha gained that position and took points away from Hurlock. Big stuff there from Tregurtha. And could be a costly thing for Hurlock. But either way, going to start the next race in 3rd.
Yeah, still good points for Hurlock. Lost a couple there, but such good drive anyway. Even if it puts him too far out of the way to really get the championship in the next race, that was still such a good result for him, getting all the way from the back of the field up well into the top 10 there. But he still has just a chance, but it is possibly a little bit too much, or too little, I should say.
Indeed, it's a bit of a cliff to climb there. You can see the provisional race results. So Cross, even after that incident, again, we must bring it up, the controversial incident between himself and Carter could play into things later on. I don't know how this is going to work for the final race. Either way, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back to things and we'll see who is going to win this championship.
KW, für jeden Anspruch das richtige Fahrwerk. Well, one more race then stands in our way to decide this championship. We've got 3 minutes left of warm-up, and I'm pretty sure the tension in all camps is going to be pretty high. This is going to be quite an interesting end to the season. Of course, a reminder to all of you sat at home, the prize for the victory here in the British RaceRoom Championships Touring Car Challenge, supplied by Cobra Motorsport, is a Cobra seat from the signature range. So certainly a prize they'd want to go and win. Of course, being the inaugural champion of the British RaceRoom Championship also is a nice little title. We only get one of those. To being the first ever driver, and we've got a 3-way fight for the championship. It is fairly tight. Definitely between the top two. Of course, we spoke before in the previous race. There was 5 points between Richards and Cross. Hurlock's a little bit far behind, and I think he's going to have a bit of a tough order. There is your standings there. So 118 points goes the way of Matt Richards, Rob Cross on 113 points, and Dan Hurlock 20 points behind. It's tough. Basically, if Hurlock wins the race, if Hurlock ends up winning the race, Matt Richards has to finish P12, because it has to be 4 points. Yeah, so it will be P12. So as long as Matt Richards is above 12th position, and Rob Cross as well, has to be, I think it's something like P8. It's tight between the two of them. So yeah, it's definitely difficult stuff there for those.
But because they had first and second in the last race, that means they're going to be 9th and 10th. They're already starting a little bit further down. So if they get a little bit caught up in someone else's issues, then that could really open the door for Dan Hurlock. But as you say, it is going to be a bit of a long shot. And it's really going to be about that fight between Richards and Cross. But it is going to come down to the wire.
So the tiebreaker, should we get to it, will go the way at the moment of Matt Richards, who had a third place at Brands Hatch. So that's it, because they've both got 2 wins now. They've both got 1 second place, because Matt Richards picked one up in Silverstone. Oh, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Matt Richards just had a second in that. It was Rob Cross who had a second at Silverstone. There we go. I'm getting there eventually. And of course, the third place now for Richards. It's tight stuff. It is tight stuff at the top end. To be fair, though, if Rob Cross ends up winning this race and Matt Richards second, then Rob Cross wins the tiebreak. And there would also be 5 points that gap would come down. So, you've got to get on with it. Matt Richards realistically just has to finish ahead of Rob Cross here.
Easier said than done. Easier said than done for sure. But that is why we do these races, these championships. We've had 8 races so far, 1 more to go, and we still don't know who's going to win the championship. And as they grid up, we are preparing for the final race of the season, and it is all going to come down to this 3 drivers and 1 race. So who will win?
25 points for that race victory. Cobra seat on the line. And of course, like I said, the inaugural championship in the British RaceRoom Championship. It has been a great season. We've had 8 crazy races. Some of them are a bit more muscly than maybe we'd want. But we come here, the 9th race of the season at Silverstone International. Ready to go then for the final race of the season. Mike Smith, Alex Everett, a VW front row, and directly behind one of our championship protagonists, Dan Hurlock, running from that 3rd position. Surely it could be his race. It's a bad launch though from our pole sitter Mike Smith. He's going to get swarmed already coming into T1. The race is definitely underway, and Alex Everett on the inside of Abbey should have this one sorted, but Hurlock's going to go for a beautiful cutback and maybe stick it up into 2nd position, coming up through the 2nd corner all the way around the outside. He's going to have to dive it down the inside of turn 3. He's maybe dived it a little bit too far, same as Carter did in the previous race, but Alex Everett is going to hang on at the moment. Dan Hurlock then in 2nd position. Mike Smith, Brandon Abraham, JJ Ross, Matt Richards is ahead of Rob Cross indeed. Matt Richards already got at 6th position. Rob Cross down in 9th.
Yeah, that was
look at all that behind though.
Really, really good start, has to be said. That's given Dan Hurlock a really good chance. But we're now looking at he's actually trying to go for the lead again on the inside of Stowe Corner. We've seen plenty of overtakes there today, and he's done it, to be honest. So that's going to be the lead, and there's going to be another car. I think that's Smith now trying to get involved with Everett as well as they come down into the club chicane. And he's actually might be able to go to the lead around the outside of Hurlock. The Hurlock's defended that pretty nicely on the brakes. So Hurlock has got into the lead. That is really, that's the best that he can do, obviously. So he just needs to try and keep it there. But Everett is going to be pushing everything to try and get a race victory here as well. And you've got all the Lincoln Co's behind, so in there is going to be Richards and Cross as well, who we need to focus on at some point in this race as well. But for now, it is Hurlock who's leading the way.
Yeah, Hurlock having taken that lead, surely as things have swung his way. Dan Camish already up to 13th position from last. My goodness me! Oh, nearly a roll behind him as well from Stevens as well, coming through T3. So Dan Camish already up to 13th place. Fantastic work from him. David Carter as well, already up into 12th position. So very fast progress from the pair of those. I'm assuming there's been a bit of an incident further back. We've got Foyle and Miles at the back end of the field, so I'm assuming something's gone on. This is back up to the battle for the lead. We've got Brandon Abraham, who's going to try and stick it on Everett. Everett, who's trying to keep to the rear end of Dan Hurlock. Behind this, we've got Mike Smith, we've got JJ Ross, and we've got Matt Richards up into 6th place. As things stand, Richards will grab the championship, but like you say, Hurlock is doing everything that he can. He couldn't start the first race, which is a terrible shame. Made great progress in the 2nd race, and now could be on for a victory in the final race of the season. It may not be the championship, but that would at least be the way I'd want to go out, doing everything I possibly could.
And that's all because of the amazing race he just did in the race 2 as well. So yeah, props to him. He's doing everything he can. We need to see how it works out. Rob Cross at the moment is getting stuck behind a couple of drivers here. So 9th place at the moment is not too many points for him either. So that's going to be Oh, who's that going around? Is that Simon maybe going around in the background? I think it might have been him. Or they managed to save it, such as the front wheel drive. So you just got to plant it, and the car will come back to you. But he's dropped a few places there to 11th place. So Webb is in 10th, just ahead of him.
There's Rob Cross, so gained a position up into 8th, and now staring at the back of Rainford, who showed such impressive racing pace in the first race. Maybe didn't show the racecraft and maturity, which, to be fair, is expected, considering it is his first race in the season. So, you know, he's learning, and he's learned pretty quick. He's not dropped back in this race, so he's hanging on to 7th position. So not dropped back outside the top 10, but he may drop a position here to Rob Cross. Look at Hurlock there, who's broken away at the top end, tried to pull the slipstream off of Alex Everett from 2nd position. So a decent launch of the race, half a second clear at the top end. Brandon Abraham going to try and look down the inside for Team Highlands Racing on the Crest Autosport drive. It does indeed so at T3. But Alex Everett's surely going to hang on here, a little touch of contact leaving the corner.
He couldn't quite make that one work, but he's certainly looking feisty to get a double in the 1-2. Whereas Hurlock defends really harshly there to the insides to try and not get overtaken if possible, as we've now got Everett defending on the outside, which is not always the best opportunity. We've seen a lot of people dive down the inside, but Abraham not quite, although actually Everett's gone about a bit wide, so this is going to give the Hyundai a chance to go side by side and have a chance on the brakes into the chicane to try and go around the outside. But Everett once again doing pretty good there despite not being in the best position.
Ooh, nearly a roll there from Abraham.
A curb is catching a couple of people out. And this is giving Smith now the opportunity to come and try and get on the podium, as we look at Rob Cross now trying to get past Rainford.
This is looking good. Oh, he just got a little bit of contact there and wasn't able to do it. Surely there's going to be a dive up at least at T1, maybe into T3, maybe a little wide there for Rainford. Going to pick up the extra speed on the inside of T1. Rob Cross going to maybe dive it down the inside. Surely he will, but he's got someone diving it down the inside of him. There's going to be contact there. Who was that? Was that Dan Cow? It certainly was, trying to do his teammate a little bit of help. Up to P7 though goes Rob Cross. Oh, who we got here? We've got Alex Everett. We've got Brandon Abraham. Contact between the two. Look at how far Hurlock's gone. Hurlock's cleared off. He's checked out. He's already caught the flight and going home. Oh, in the background, though, we've got Abraham, we've got Smith, we've got JJ Ross trying to get involved behind this. Oh, see ya! That was not very good from Mike Smith.
Exactly what happened to David Carter. He hit the left side of the car going into a right-hand corner, and yeah, the car just went the completely wrong way. And that is a real shame for him. And this actually doesn't help Hurlock at all, because that is another car out of the way for Richards, who's now in 5th position. So that is everything that Matt Richards needs. And is this going to be a 4th position, actually?
4th place for Matt Richards. Looking like it's he's trying to run away from Rob Cross here, who's up in 6th as well. This is on board with Rob Cross, going to go and try down the inside of Mike Smith. Oh, he is closing in on Matt Richards at a healthy pace here. This could be big. Monstrous for the championship. Rob Cross then up into 5th place. Our two main championship protagonists really working their way up the order in the opening 6 minutes of this race. Richards leads Cross though, which is not the way it needs to be if Cross has any hopes of winning this championship. We've got Rainford down the inside of Smith there as well. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, these guys just won't stop, will they? They're just going for everything. As I say, Rainford now is in the slipstream of Rob Cross, but it looks like he's actually coming back now in the second half of the straight. He's going to have to dive down the inside, and there's another car trying to come through there. Mike Smith couldn't actually do that on the end, although actually now he has. There's been loads of contact with Webb involved as well. Plenty of contact for these drivers, and Rainford actually managed to make that work in the end, go up into 5th position. Now Smith going around the outside of the link as well. Does he have the inside? Yeah, it's going to be a bit more contact once again. But he's actually managed to make that work in the end, as we now got Kell coming past. I think that's Webb in the background now as well. So yeah, these guys just won't stop as well. The Audi of I think that's Simon now coming to pull out to try and get a position on Webb as well. Plenty of action here coming towards the middle of this final race of the season. Bit more contact here between Webb and Simon. Webb's, can he catch it? Yes, he can. Just about catching it there for Webb.
That's big though for Rob Cross, who gained a position, was on the back of Matt Richards, dropped the position almost immediately. Here we've got Dan Cam in 12th position. Again, that decent progress up the order, joining himself and Carter, who had some big battles the previous time we were at Silverstone at the Silverstone National Race to open the season. These two were going at it hammer and tongs, and appear to be going at it hammer and tongs again, down in 11th and 12th position. Hurlock, though, leading the way from Everett, Ross and Richards. It is important, though, that Cross didn't get that position done on Rainford. That is big stuff for the championship.
And that championship is really sort of coming down to the wire, but Richards doing everything, and he's got that one-person advantage to Cross as well. So it looks like Cross is going to struggle quite a lot to get past Richards, and then they are both also close enough to Hurlock. So it's looking good for Richards right now, but as we've seen, cars can be punted off, people can be spun, and even in the case of Webb, cars can be turned over. So still plenty of action to go in the last 11.5 minutes of the season.
Oh, he was looking down the inside of Smith there. Got the VW directly ahead, a little bit of a bump on the apex. Oh, a little bit further of a bump. We'll go with a bump on that one. Going to throw it down the inside of Chapel. No, he does not. Going to try and pick up the apex at a higher speed, though, which he certainly does so. This could be the position for Kell up into 7th, and how important that would be for Matt Richards if Dan Kell could close on the back of Rob Cross. Here is Matt Richards. Here is Rainford as well. Rainford is incredibly quick at the moment, up into 5th place, and definitely not showing any signs of slowing down on the back of the championship protagonist. Past one championship protagonist, now going to try and pass the other one down into the chicane. Late on the brakes, nearly a little bit of contact there. Going to go for the cutback, but I don't think that one's going to quite work there.
Yeah, you've got to love people like that. He's got absolutely nothing to lose. Coming for the final round of the season. Look at this. We go 3 wide into the final corner. The car's going to be around there. Mike Smith is going to be hit on the back. Lose, I think, 3 positions there. Not great for him, but yeah, that's why you don't go 3 wide into the final corner here at Silverstone. As we're now looking a little bit further. I was at Carter, yeah, 10th position. Obviously, he was looking good in that second race before he got punted, where he's now up into some decent points there in 10th at the moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite cross about that one. But either way, 10th place at the moment for him would be a decent result, and there's certainly a few more positions he can pick up from this. Just picking up that slipstream. Of course, he's got Camish directly behind. This is it. Things closing in. Here's Rainford going to go down the inside of Matt Richards. 4th position on the road. It should go the way of Rainford. A nice line down the inside. A little bit of contact between the two. And Rainford is going to grab that one, surely coming down towards the final chicane. They're still side by side. He's going to have to pick it up around the outside as Rainford, though. And he is going to do so. Oh, beautiful stuff. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, a bit of contact there from Rob Cross and Matt Richards. Matt Richards maybe getting muscled out by his main championship rival.
This is getting close.
10 minutes to go in this championship, and it is all to play for. Rob Cross is now going to try and go around the outside of Abbey. That's surely not going to work. There's a little bit of contact between the two. Anything major that happens here is going to be monstrous for the championship. If you're Matt Richards, do you fight it that hard? If you finish 1 position behind Rob Cross, it's okay. The championship is still yours at the moment. You don't want to give that up, because if he then moves further up the field and you can't do so, you can't follow suit. That's big.
And remember, Cross might have some sort of penalty from that incident with Carter as well, but that would obviously come after the race. So this is even more important for him that he gets ahead of Richards to try and get as many points as he can. But yeah, Rainford's looking pretty good at 4th place, as now Rob Cross is getting really close to the back of Richards. And you can tell that Richards is always got wide. This could give the opportunity for Cross to come down the inside, push his way to the that position. P5 there. Richards has lost 2 places in the pretty much 1 lap, so that is not great for him. But at the moment, he's still not losing too many points to Cross, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't let Cross get too far up the road.
This is we've got 4 points between the top 2. In the championship. If they finish in this position, Hurlock is going to make some decent progress as well, going at 1 point behind that, so 5 points off the championship lead. So it is tight stuff at the top of the championship. Hurlock can do nothing more. He can take 1st position, and that's it. That's all he can do right now, and he is doing a marvellous job. 1.5 seconds clear of Everett. This is further down the pack. This is Dan Camish trying to get by Simon. Maybe a little bit of contact there coming into T3. Now going to try and pick it up around the outside. Maybe going to hold the inside to Chapel. Directly behind this, we've got Miles Dixon as well in the other grey Audi. It's tight stuff. Up into the top 10 goes Dan Camish.
And he started from the back, didn't he? So that is a really, really good drive so far. In 10th position. Camish is going to have to defend here from, I believe that was, as you say, Miles. Oh, coming on the inside. There might be a contact there on the apex. I believe there was. And Camish has kept that P10. But that's some good racing to get all the way up into 10th position at this moment. Now we're looking at David Carter in 9th place. Another driver who's having a pretty good event, has to be said. So yeah, looking pretty good in 9th place at the moment, as he's trying to catch down to Webb, although they've just lost touch a little bit with the leaders at the moment, this little pack.
Yeah, whilst they've been battling as hard as they can, it is big stuff. We've got Rainford ahead, they're still clear, but I don't think Rob Cross has actually got the pace to close on Rainford. But I think Rainford is closing onto the back of Ross, is closing onto the back of Everett, and that could be big for him, because if that happens, if that battle kicks off, this could be big positions for Rob Cross and big stuff for the championship. Of course, all very provisional. We'll have the stewards look at it, depending on what gets reported. In the background, though, you can see a little bit of side-by-side. I think that's Webb, Kell and Carter. This is the battle for 7th position. We look further back, of course. Webb, the lone alpha on the grid, qualified in 2nd position in the season opener earlier on in the season. We're going to go 3 wide at Stowe. Maybe Carter's going to try and pick it through the inside. Oh, there's a little bit of contact. Carter is feisty today.
He's looking good, isn't he? But he's now going to go side by side. He's got to be careful here with where because he's actually done pretty well there, because Webb actually blocked off Kell in that scenario, so that meant that Carter could go all the way around the outside of both of them. Really good there from David Carter, who, as you said, is returning to sim racing, and he's looking really good in this Lincoln go up into 7th place, but there's a massive gap ahead of them now.
That's a quality drive from DC, making some great progress up the field. I think 7th is probably as good as it'll get at the moment, but with Matt Webb behind, with Dan Kell, got Dan Camish as well. Simon, oh, well, that is what every round has been a commentator's curse. That is it. I'm so sorry, DC. You're going to probably drop a position to Kell here as well. He's on the inside at Chapel. Camish as well coming through. One tiny mistake, and all that good work is undone.
And that's just how close this championship has been. We've seen if there's half a car width or length, any driver is just going to dive themselves into that position. So we've got to see what Camish can do here, as he's now looking to get into the top 10. As that Carter actually hit in the back of Kell, so even more contact between all these cars. Fortunately, contact's been fairly minimal in the overall running of this championship. There's three-way punt into the final chicane, as there's now an Audi of is that Simon getting involved as well, who's now got up into the top 10.
It's we don't have Dan Cam anymore, so that's where that's run off to. So unfortunately, we can't say that. But we've got Dan Camish though trying to muscle his way. The camera's dropped off through contact. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, taking a few buffs on the way up the order. Camish though doing a good job here. Like I say, on the back of Simon, on the back of the top 10. But he's got, look at how many cars behind though.
It's crazy.
It's just a pressure cooker.
And there's only 4 minutes left of the season as well, so these guys want to get as many points as they can as we jump to Hurlock, who's leading the way nicely. Look at that, he's just cruising off to get a win, hopefully, if he doesn't make any sort of mistake. But his issue is that Cross and Richards are in 5th and 6th position, but we cannot count out the podium either. Everett and JJ Ross are looking good for a podium as well. And then you've got even Rainford, who's having another good race. There's just a bunch of drivers having a good race here. It's been very competitive. And as we head on to literally the last 4 minutes of the race now, we've got 5 people heading for the final victory of the season.
Yeah, Cross needs to win it to get 3rd position at the moment. I think it's only if Cross was to get by Rainford, I think it's 1 point between them in the championship. So it's tight stuff there. But of course, whilst Rainford has caught up to Ross, this is exactly what I said. This is big stuff for Rob Cross. Whilst Rainford has caught up, if this lot all start to battle, this is big stuff for Rob Cross and that championship. I've noticed the gap for the lead, by the way, has come down to only a second. Maybe the early pace from Dan Hurlock was just a little bit too much, and he's wearing out those tyres. 3 minutes to go, not only in the race but in the season as well. The championship is so up for grabs for both Rob Cross and Matt Richards. Any mistake between the two of them, and it could swing the way of Dan Hurlock as well. This is further down the order. This is 13th position. We've got Will Tregertha in the first Audi in that. We've got a cutback from Mike Smith, though. The next Audi behind that is Dixon, and then we've got Stevens as well behind. It's a bit of an Audi gaggle
there with a VW trying to muscle away around the outside. Mike Smith from reverse grid pole in the previous race. Maybe didn't really have the pace to keep up there, but desperately trying to gain himself a couple more points.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that this is for 13th position. Look at these, always 3 wide coming down into the first corner. You don't want to go too wide, let alone 3 wide. Who is going to come out on top or even get crashed? Oh, wow, they all managed to get through there. Pretty good
Solid
job
work
from all of them to not have a crasher there. Coming into turn number 1 is Mike Smith, who came out on top of that battle. As just Pioneer Stevens is looking pretty good. As we come onto the back straight once again, Hurlock, yeah, still looking good for that victory. But Rob Cross is coming towards Rainford as they get even closer. Then we've got 2 VWs as well going at it further up. Oh, sorry, not a VW, Honda and a VW for the podium. So yeah, all these different manufacturers as well, just showing the range of the cars. Top 5 are different manufacturers.
Yeah, it's like I say, the BAP, and this obviously seeming to work out. The Honda is a decent car, as is the VW, as is the Hyundai, as is the Audi, as is the Lincoln Co. The Alfa, maybe not so much. We can all agree on that. But still, it's in 7th position, so you know, it's all good.
And look how Rob Cross is getting onto the back of Rainford, but he's only got 2 laps to go. He needs to try and make something work, because remember, he needs to get past 2 cars to get the championship, and that's assuming Richards doesn't follow him through as well. So he's got to be tactical about this if he is going to make a position, and he really needs to make at least one of those on this lap.
I know Ed Trevelyan Johnson is chatting to Matt Richards at the moment. He's just saying, just make sure that you are on the back of Cross, nothing more. Just make sure that you are there with him, because if he goes 2 positions ahead, like you said, that's the championship done. But we've got 1 lap to go in this championship when we cross the line. Hurlock's leading from Everett, from Ross, from Rainford, from Cross, and then Richards. We're looking backwards from JJ Ross. We've got Rainford directly there. Is it going to be a little bit? There was a little bit of a rub there on the apex, but nothing major. It might actually be a little bit of distance between the two of them. 1 lap to go in the championship then.
And who is going to win the championship? We still don't know, and that's the great thing that this season has produced. It's had so much variety, different people getting wins, different people getting on the podiums, and it's all coming down to this. Well, actually, Cross is a little bit too far away. This Rainford is trying to get himself on the podium around the outside of Ross, so they can't quite make that work, and this could slow him down a little bit, which could give Rob Cross the opportunity to at least get to that 4th position as we come onto the hangar straight for the final time.
Yeah, Rob Cross is going to try and get some slipstream here. This could be big stuff for the championship. Those 3 are very much together. If anything happens between Rainford and JJ Ross, and Cross gains both those positions, that's it. They're done. That's done for the championship. We're coming up towards Stowe for the final time. Oh, Cross is going to commit. He's going to go down the inside. There's going to be contact between himself and Rainford. I don't think that position is going to change. I think Cross might just have to settle for 2nd in the championship. It's going to be 5th place. He's going to maybe dive it down the inside to the final chicane. He's having a look. He's squirrely on the brakes. It's not quite enough at the top end of the field. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. He's maybe going to gain his position on Rainford this time. It could come down to a single point in the championship as Rainford comes out of the final corner. Dan Hurlock, recovery of the day, victory in the final race of the season. James Cross, JJ Ross and Rainford do keep ahead of Cross. Matt Richards in P6 for Zansho Simsport with Silverstone Composites is provisionally your series champion. What a crazy finale there. Wow. Cross so nearly had it.
And it came down to that final sector as well. So the whole championship, the whole 9 races came down to the final sector, the last few hundred meters. But as you mentioned, I believe, yeah, Matt Richards just managed to do enough to get the championship here. Dan Hurlock gave it everything. Unfortunately, that did not start in the first race here at round 3. Unfortunately, was just a little bit too much of a gap for him to make up in that final race. But he certainly did a good race, and Cross himself gave it everything, but it was Richards who came out on top.
Yeah, it appears so at the moment. Webb did the fastest lap in the Alpha. Power through. Good stuff, lad. Hurlock, though, victory in the championship. We'll come back to you with the points of how this is going to unfold, and then we'll bring that information just after this.
KW, für jeden Anspruch das richtige Fahrwerk.
Wow, what a glorious end to the championship that was. So far, our provisional calculations put Matt Richards on top. We'll get those to you in just a moment. But Cam, I want your final thoughts on the inaugural season of the British RaceRoom Championships Touring Car Challenge, brought to you by Cobra Motorsport.
Well, it's a little bit different for me because I'm always a touring car guy in the past, but in the future I might be, because the racing, has to be said, was amazing. Like it was just amazing throughout the whole season. The cars just got so close to each other, and they gave us a really good run. And there's some drivers who came in that were really quick. For instance, Jack Keithley last time out came in, was definitely the quickest, got a really good result in the first two races until he unfortunately disconnected. But yeah, really good result. And it came down to 3 drivers and 1 sector. That final sector could have changed the whole thing if there was some incidents there. So here, I believe, we've got the results for you.
Yeah, indeed. You can see Matt Richards there on top for Zansho Simsport with Silverstone Composites. 120, is it 8 points or 6 points? I can't see on the screen at the moment. I think it's 8. It is 8. Rob Cross, it's a 4-point gap then. Rob Cross behind 124. Dan Hurlock, what a recovery. Really, really stellar performance there. A true champion's drive in the second race, and then did everything he needed to do in the final race to take that victory, take us a victory in the season. 5 points off the championship lead. Then you've got Chris Shepard, who wasn't even here today, still takes 4th position, only a single point clear of Dan Kell, and then Alex Everett with that 2nd position in the opener here at Silverstone International grabs 6th in the championship. Big stuff, Cam. Dan Camish ended up in 9th position, which is, to be fair, pretty good considering he didn't score any points from the second race of the day. Considering the drive-through penalty, and then he had something set, so he had to escape. So
and it definitely shows you with how far away these top 3 were to the next 3, as just how good those 3 were throughout the whole season, including Hurlock and Richards, both having one race where they didn't make it, because obviously Richards had a race missed, as well as Hurlock today in race 1. So despite that, there's still plenty ahead. So these 3 were really the ones to look out for, and they gave us a great show across the 9 races.
Of course. Now, for those of you that want to keep up to date with RaceRoom stuff, go and follow us on Facebook. Of course, you can go follow RaceRoom UK on Facebook, and then the main RaceRoom channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go and follow us everywhere that you possibly can, because there is so much content coming up on RaceRoom, whether it's content that's actually coming out in the game or the series that we're running. It is great stuff. Don't forget, you can also be a part of it by taking part on some of the leaderboards that we've got. Just loading up RaceRoom, download it on Steam, and give it a go. Until the next time that we meet, though, me and you, Cam, I think this is us out. Thanks from us. Thanks obviously to Rob Wiesemüller as well, who's been running the broadcast for the 3 rounds. And until next time, goodbye.